I never revealed to my daughter about my $38,000 monthly income, even though she always assumed I was just getting by. One evening, she asked me to join her for dinner with her fiance's family who had flown in from another country. I chose to test their character by disguising myself as a struggling and unsophisticated woman. But the instant I walked into that upscale venue, everything shifted. What unfolded that evening shattered my future son-in-law's parents in ways they never anticipated. And believe me, they earned every bit of it. Let me walk you through how we arrived at that moment. Let me share who I truly am. Because my daughter Emma, now 32, never understood the reality about her mother. To her, I was simply the person who departed early for work each morning, who returned exhausted each night, who prepared meals with whatever ingredients we had available, just another worker, perhaps an administrative assistant, someone unremarkable, nothing extraordinary. And I never corrected that perception. I never mentioned that I brought in $38,000 monthly, that I had spent nearly 2 decades as a senior consultant for a global firm, negotiating 7-figure deals and making choices that influenced tens of thousands of employees. Why reveal it? Wealth was never something I felt compelled to display like an achievement badge. I was raised in a time when self-respect was carried internally, when quietness held more value than empty declarations. So I protected my reality. I remained in the same humble apartment for decades. I carried the same fabric purse until it fell apart. I purchased clothing from budget retailers, prepared food at home, preserved everything, invested strategically, and accumulated wealth in silence. Because genuine strength doesn't announce itself. Genuine strength observes. And I was watching carefully when Emma contacted me that Wednesday evening. Her tone sounded unusual, anxious, like when she was young and had made a mistake. "Mother, I need to ask something of you. Daniel's parents are visiting from overseas. This is their first trip here. They want to meet you. We're meeting for dinner this Saturday at an upscale restaurant. Please join us." Something in her inflection made me uneasy. It wasn't the voice of a daughter inviting her mother. It was the voice of someone requesting not to be humiliated, to blend in, to create a favorable impression. "Have they learned anything about me?" I asked steadily. There was a pause. Then Emma stammered, "I mentioned you work in an administrative role, that you live by yourself, that you're modest, that you don't have much." There it was, the phrase modest, as if my entire existence could be summarized in that pitiful descriptor, as if I were an embarrassment she needed to justify. I inhaled slowly, deeply. "All right, Emma, I'll attend." I disconnected and surveyed my apartment. Dated but practical furniture, walls without costly decorations, a compact television, nothing that would capture attention. And in that instant, I made my decision. If my daughter believed I was a woman without means, if her fiancé's parents were arriving prepared to evaluate, then I would deliver precisely what they anticipated witnessing. I would perform the role of broke, unsophisticated, and helpless, a mother barely surviving. I wanted to experience directly how they responded to someone who possessed nothing. I wanted to witness their authentic selves because I suspected something. I suspected Daniel and his family were the variety of individuals who assessed others by their financial statements, and my intuition is rarely incorrect. Saturday came. I dressed in the most unflattering outfit I possessed. A pale beige, shapeless, creased dress, the type available at charity shops, weathered, scuffed shoes, no accessories, not even earrings. I grabbed a frayed cloth shopping bag, twisted my hair into a messy bun, and examined my reflection. I resembled a woman defeated by circumstances. Forgettable? Ideal? I entered a rideshare and provided the location, an elite restaurant in the city's most prestigious district, the type where menus omit prices, where each place setting exceeds the typical person's weekly earnings. As we traveled, I experienced something peculiar, a combination of excitement and melancholy. Excitement because I sensed something significant approaching. Melancholy because a fraction of me still wished I was mistaken. I wished they would show kindness, that they would be gracious, that they would see beyond the shabby clothing. But the other fraction, the one that had operated 4 decades among ruthless professionals, that fraction understood precisely what awaited me. The vehicle stopped before the restaurant. Soft lighting, a doorman in formal attire, sophisticated guests entering. I paid, exited, breathed deeply, stepped across the entrance, and there they were. Emma was positioned beside a lengthy table near the glass walls. She wore a navy blazer, an ivory blouse, and polished flats. She appeared tense. Next to her was Daniel, my future son-in-law. He wore a charcoal suit with a burgundy tie, dress shoes, his blonde hair styled perfectly. He looked impeccable as usual, but he wasn't watching me. He was glancing toward the entrance with a rigid, almost uncomfortable expression. And then I noticed them, Daniel's parents, already positioned at the table, waiting like monarchs upon their seats. The mother, Patricia, wore a fitted sapphire blue dress covered in beading, jewelry on her throat, arms, and hands. Her auburn hair was arranged in a sophisticated updo. She possessed that calculated, intimidating variety of elegance. Beside her was Gregory, her spouse, a pristine navy suit, an enormous timepiece on his arm, a stern expression. Both appeared as if they had emerged from a luxury publication. I approached them gradually, with hesitant steps as if I were frightened. Emma noticed me first, and her expression transformed. Her eyes enlarged. She examined me completely. I observed her swallow. "Mother, you mentioned you'd come." Her voice sounded troubled. "Naturally, sweetheart. Here I am." I smiled timidly, the smile of a woman unaccustomed to such establishments. Daniel greeted me with a brief kiss on the cheek, stiff, automated. "Mrs. Thompson, lovely to see you." His eyes communicated otherwise. He introduced me to his parents in an odd, almost defensive manner. "Father, mother, this is Emma's mother." Patricia glanced upward, examined me, and in that moment, I witnessed everything. The assessment, the contempt, the letdown. Her eyes surveyed my wrinkled dress, my worn shoes, my cloth bag. She didn't speak initially, merely extended a hand, cold, swift, and limp. A pleasure. Gregory performed similarly. A weak handshake, a manufactured smile, delighted. I settled into the chair at the table's end, the one most distant from them, as if I were an inferior guest. No one assisted me with my seat. No one inquired if I was settled. The server approached with the sophisticated, weighty menus written in Italian. I opened mine and feigned complete confusion. Patricia observed me. "Do you require assistance with the selections?" She inquired with a smile that didn't touch her eyes. "Yes, thank you." "I don't recognize what these terms mean." My voice emerged small, uncertain. She exhaled and ordered on my behalf. "Something basic," she stated. "Something reasonably priced. We shouldn't be extravagant." The statement lingered in the atmosphere. Gregory acknowledged. Emma diverted her gaze. Daniel adjusted his napkin. No one spoke, and I simply observed. Patricia initiated conversation first about general topics, the flight from abroad, how exhausting the journey was, how unfamiliar everything seemed here. Then she gradually began discussing finances. She referenced the boutique hotel where they were lodging, $900 per night. She referenced the premium vehicle they had leased. Naturally, she referenced the boutiques they had explored. We purchased several items, nothing excessive, merely a few thousand. She spoke, watching me, anticipating a response, anticipating me to be astonished. I simply nodded. "How wonderful," I said. "That's delightful." She proceeded. You understand, Margaret, we've consistently been extremely prudent with finances. We labored intensely. We invested intelligently. Now, we possess real estate in 4 countries. Gregory has substantial enterprises, and I manage our portfolio. She smiled a smile of dominance. And you? What precisely do you do? Her tone was pleasant but toxic. I work in an administrative office. I responded, lowering my eyes. I handle various tasks, documentation, organization, basic responsibilities. Patricia exchanged a glance with Gregory. Ah, understood. Clerical work. That's acceptable. It's honorable. All occupations are dignified, correct? Certainly, I responded. The meal arrived. Immense. Plates with minuscule portions, all arranged like artwork. Patricia sliced her fish with exactness. This cost $75, she mentioned, but it's justified. Excellence is worth compensating for. One cannot simply consume anything, correct? I nodded. Naturally, you're correct. Daniel attempted to redirect the conversation, discussing career matters and certain projects. Patricia interrupted him. Son, does her mother reside alone? Daniel nodded. Yes, she has a modest apartment. Patricia regarded me with manufactured sympathy. It must be challenging, correct? Living alone at your stage without substantial support? And does your income cover necessities? I sensed the trap forming. Barely, I responded, but I manage. I economize where possible. I don't require much. Patricia sighed theatrically. Oh, Margaret, you are remarkably resilient. Honestly, I respect women who persevere alone. Although, naturally, one constantly wishes to provide our children more, to grant them superior circumstances. But, well, everyone contributes what they can. There was the subtle but lethal strike. She was indicating I hadn't been sufficient for my daughter, that I hadn't provided what she deserved, that I was an inadequate, insufficient mother. Daniel was studying his plate. Emma was clenching her hands beneath the table, and I simply smiled. Yes, you're correct. Everyone contributes what they can. Patricia continued. We consistently ensured Daniel had excellence. He attended premier institutions, traveled globally, mastered 3 languages. Now he has an outstanding career, earned substantially. And when he became engaged to Emma, well, we assisted them considerably. We contributed funds for the property deposit. We financed their engagement celebration because that's simply our nature. We believe in supporting our children. She regarded me intently. And were you capable of assisting Emma with anything when they became engaged? The question floated like a razor. Not substantially, I responded. I contributed what I could, a modest gift. Patricia smiled. How touching. Every gesture matters, correct? The sum doesn't matter. The thought is what's significant. And precisely then, I felt the fury beginning to build within me. The fury wasn't explosive. It was frigid, measured, like water beneath ice. I breathed gradually, maintained the uncertain smile, and permitted Patricia to continue speaking. Because that's what individuals like her do. They speak, they inflate themselves, they display, and the more they speak, the more they expose themselves, the more they reveal the hollowness inside. Patricia consumed a portion of her glass of expensive red, rotating it in her hand as if she were a connoisseur. This vintage is from an exclusive estate in Italy. It costs $180 per bottle. But when you appreciate excellence, you don't compromise. Do you consume wine, Margaret? Only on rare occasions, I responded, and typically the most affordable option. I don't comprehend much about these matters. Patricia smiled patronizingly. Oh, don't concern yourself. Not everyone possesses a refined palate. That develops with experience, with travel, with education. Gregory and I have toured wineries across Europe, Australia, and California. We are remarkably knowledgeable. Gregory acknowledged, it's a pastime, something we appreciate. Daniel is developing his understanding too. He has excellent taste. He acquired it from us. He regarded Daniel with satisfaction. Daniel offered a weak smile. Thanks, Mother. Patricia turned to me. And you, Margaret? Do you have any pastimes? Anything you appreciate pursuing in your leisure time? I shrugged. I watch programs, prepare food, stroll through the neighborhood park. Basic activities. Patricia and Gregory exchanged another glance, a glance filled with significance, with silent evaluation. How lovely, Patricia said. Basic activities have their appeal too. Although, naturally, one constantly aspires to more, correct? To experience the globe, to encounter different cultures, to expand intellectually. But, well, I comprehend not everyone possesses those possibilities. I nodded. You're correct. Not everyone possesses those possibilities. The server approached with dessert, minuscule portions of something resembling edible sculpture. Patricia ordered the most costly one. $28 for a portion of pastry the size of a biscuit. This is exquisite, she said, after the initial taste. It contains edible silver on top. Notice those small metallic fragments? It's a touch only Premier restaurants provide. I consumed my dessert, simpler, less expensive. In quietness, Patricia continued, You understand, Margaret. I believe it's significant that we discuss something as a family now that we are assembled here. She glanced upward. Her expression transformed, becoming serious, falsely caring. Emma is our future daughter-in-law, and we cherish her greatly. Daniel loves her, and we honor that choice. But as parents, we constantly desire optimal circumstances for our son. Emma tensed. Mother, I don't believe this is appropriate timing. Patricia raised her hand. Permit me to finish, dear. This is significant. She regarded me. Margaret, I comprehend you accomplished the best you could with Emma. I understand raising her independently wasn't simple, and I genuinely respect you for that. But now, Emma is at a different phase in her existence. She is engaged. She has obligations. And, well, Daniel and she deserve to possess stability. Stability? I inquired softly. Yes, Patricia responded. Financial, emotional stability. We have assisted substantially, and we will continue assisting. But we also believe it's significant that Emma doesn't have unnecessary burdens. Her tone was transparent. She was labeling me a burden. Me, her mother, her future mother-in-law. Daniel was studying his plate as if he wanted to vanish. Emma had her jaw tightened. Burdens? I repeated. Patricia exhaled. I don't wish to sound severe, Margaret, but at your stage, residing alone with a restricted income, it's natural for Emma to worry about you, to sense that she must care for you, and that's acceptable. She is a good daughter, but we don't desire that concern to impact her engagement. Do you comprehend me? Perfectly, I responded. Patricia smiled. I'm pleased you comprehend. That's why we desire to speak with you. Gregory and I have considered something. She paused, theatrically. We could assist you financially, provide you a modest monthly stipend, something that permits you to reside more comfortably without Emma having to concern herself so intensely. Obviously, it would be modest. We cannot perform miracles, but it would be support. I remained silent, observing her, waiting. She proceeded. And in exchange, we would simply request you to honor Emma and Daniel's space, not to contact them so frequently, not to pressure them, to grant them the liberty to construct their life together without interference. How does that sound? There was the proposal, the bribe disguised as generosity. They wanted to purchase me off. They wanted to compensate me to vanish from my daughter's existence so I wouldn't be a nuisance, so I wouldn't humiliate their precious son with my poverty. Emma exploded. Mother, that's sufficient. You don't have to. Patricia interrupted her. Emma, remain calm. We're conversing like adults. Your mother comprehends, correct? I lifted my napkin, calmly wiped my mouth, consumed a portion of water, and permitted the silence to expand. Everyone was regarding me. Patricia with anticipation, Gregory with arrogance, Daniel with shame, Emma with desperation. And then I spoke. My voice emerged differently. It was no longer uncertain. It was no longer small. It was firm, clear, and cold. That's an intriguing proposal, Patricia. Truly remarkably generous of you. Patricia smiled victoriously. I'm pleased you perceive it that way. I nodded. But I have several questions, simply to comprehend clearly. Patricia blinked. Naturally, inquire whatever you wish. I leaned forward slightly. How much precisely would you consider a modest monthly stipend? Patricia hesitated. Well, we were considering approximately $600, perhaps $800, depending. I nodded. I understand. $800 monthly for me to vanish from my daughter's existence. Patricia frowned. I wouldn't phrase it like that. But, yes, I responded. That is precisely how you phrased it. She adjusted in her seat. Margaret, I don't desire you to misinterpret. Naturally, I said. Assistance. How did you assist with the property deposit? How much was that? Patricia nodded proudly. $35,000. Actually, $35,000. Ah, $35,000. How generous. And the engagement celebration? $12,000, Patricia said. It was a 2-week journey through the Mediterranean. Remarkable. Incredible, I responded. So, you've invested approximately $47,000 in Emma and Daniel? Patricia smiled. Well, when you cherish your children, you don't restrain. I nodded gradually. You're correct. When you cherish your children, you don't restrain. But inform me something, Patricia. All that investment, all that wealth, did it purchase you anything? Patricia blinked, confused. Such as, did it purchase you respect? I continued. Did it purchase you genuine affection, or did it simply purchase compliance? The atmosphere transformed. Patricia stopped smiling. Excuse me? My tone became sharper. You've spent the entire evening discussing finances, about how much items cost, how much you spent, how much you possess, but you haven't inquired even once how I am, if I'm content, if something troubles me, if I require companionship. You have simply calculated my value, and apparently I'm valued at $800 monthly. Patricia paled. I didn't. Yes, I interrupted her. Yes, you did. Since I arrived, you've been measuring my value with your wallet. And do you understand what I discovered, Patricia? I discovered that the individuals who exclusively discuss finances are the ones who least comprehend their genuine value. Gregory intervened. I believe you are misinterpreting my wife's intentions. I regarded him directly. And what are her intentions? To treat me with pity? To humiliate me throughout dinner? To offer me charity so I disappear? Gregory opened his mouth but said nothing. Emma was pale. Mother, please. I regarded her. No, Emma, please don't. I'm finished being quiet. I placed the napkin on the table. I leaned back in my chair. There was no more uncertainty in my posture, no more diminishing. I regarded Patricia directly in the eyes. She held my gaze for a moment, then quickly looked elsewhere. Uncomfortable. Something had transformed, and she sensed it. Everyone sensed it. Patricia, you stated something remarkably intriguing moments ago. You stated you respect women who persevere alone, who are resilient. Patricia nodded gradually. Yes, I did. Then permit me to inquire something. Have you ever persevered alone? Have you ever labored without your husband supporting you? Have you ever constructed something with your own capabilities without your family's wealth? Patricia stammered. I have my own achievements. Such as what? I inquired with genuine curiosity. Inform me. Patricia adjusted her hair. I manage our portfolio. I supervise properties. I make significant choices in our enterprises. I nodded. Enterprises your husband constructed? Properties you purchased together? Investments made with the capital he generated? Or am I mistaken? Gregory intervened, annoyed. That's not equitable. My wife labors equally intensely as I do. Naturally, I responded calmly. I don't question she labors. But there is a distinction between managing wealth that already exists and creating it from nothing, between supervising an empire you inherited and constructing it piece by piece, don't you believe? Patricia pressed her mouth together. I don't comprehend where you are proceeding with this, Margaret. Permit me to clarify, I responded. 38 years ago, I was 25 years old. I was an administrative assistant in a modest company. I earned minimum compensation. I resided in a rented room. I consumed the most affordable food available. And I was alone, completely alone. Emma stared at me. I had never informed her this in such detail. I proceeded. One day I became pregnant. The father vanished. My family rejected me. I had to choose whether to continue or surrender. I chose to continue. I labored until the final day of my pregnancy. I returned to work 10 days after Emma was born. A neighbor cared for her during the day. I labored 14 hours daily. I paused and consumed some water. No one spoke. I didn't remain an administrative assistant. I studied during evenings. I completed courses. I mastered French at the community library. I learned finance, business administration. I became an expert in subjects no one taught me, all independently, all while raising a child alone, all while paying rent, food, medicine, and clothing. Patricia was staring at her plate. Her arrogance was beginning to disintegrate. And do you understand what occurred, Patricia? I ascended gradually from assistant to coordinator, from coordinator to supervisor, from supervisor to manager, from manager to senior consultant. It consumed 18 years of relentless labor, of sacrifices you cannot fathom, but I accomplished it. And do you understand how much I earn presently? I inquired. Patricia shook her head. $38,000 monthly. The silence was absolute, as if someone had pressed a mute button on existence. Emma dropped her fork. Daniel's eyes enlarged. Gregory frowned in disbelief, and Patricia froze, her mouth slightly parted. 38,000, I repeated, monthly for nearly 2 decades. That's approximately $9 million in gross earnings throughout my career, not including investments, not including bonuses, not including company equity. Patricia blinked repeatedly. No, I don't comprehend. You earn $38,000 monthly? That's correct, I responded calmly. I am the regional senior consultant for a global firm. I supervise operations across 4 countries. I manage budgets exceeding hundreds of millions. I make choices that impact more than 8,000 employees. I negotiate contracts that you couldn't comprehend without legal counsel. And I accomplish it daily. Emma was pale. Mother, why did you never inform me? I regarded her tenderly. Because you didn't require knowing, sweetheart. Because I desired you to mature, valuing effort, not wealth, not to depend on me financially, to construct your own existence. But then, Daniel whispered, why do you reside in that modest apartment? Why do you wear basic clothing? Why don't you operate a luxury vehicle? I smiled. Because I don't require impressing anyone. Because genuine wealth isn't displayed. Because I learned that the more you possess, the less you require proving it. I regarded Patricia. That's why I came dressed like this tonight. That's why I pretended to be impoverished. That's why I performed like a broken, unsophisticated woman. I desired to witness how you would treat me if you believed I possessed nothing. I desired to witness your authentic character. And indeed, did I witness it, Patricia. I witnessed it perfectly. Patricia was crimson with shame, fury, and humiliation. This is absurd. If you earn such wealth, we would know. Emma would know. Why would she believe you are impoverished? Because I permitted it, I responded. Because I never discussed my career. Because I reside simply. Because the wealth I earn, I invest, I preserve, I multiply. I don't expend it on ostentatious jewelry or displaying in expensive restaurants. Gregory cleared his throat. Even so, this doesn't alter the reality that you were discourteous, that you misinterpreted our intentions. Really? I regarded him fixedly. I misinterpreted when you stated I was a burden to Emma. I misinterpreted when you proposed to compensate me $800 to vanish from her existence. I misinterpreted every patronizing comment about my clothing, my occupation, my existence. Gregory didn't respond. Neither did Patricia. I stood. Everyone regarded me. Permit me to inform you something that clearly no one has ever informed you. Wealth does not purchase class. It does not purchase genuine education. It does not purchase empathy. You possess wealth, perhaps substantial, but you don't possess a fraction of what genuinely matters. Patricia stood furious. And you do? You who deceived, who manipulated us, who made us appear foolish. I didn't make you appear foolish, I responded coldly. You managed that entirely independently. I simply provided you the opportunity to reveal who you are, and you accomplished it magnificently. Daniel had tears in his eyes. Mrs. Thompson, I didn't understand. I know, I interrupted him. You didn't understand. But your parents understood precisely what they were accomplishing. They understood they were humiliating me, and they appreciated it until they discovered that the impoverished woman they scorned possesses more wealth than they do, and now they don't comprehend what to do with that information. Patricia trembled. You have no authority. I have complete authority, I responded, because I am your future son's mother-in-law, because I deserve respect. Not because of my wealth, not because of my career, but because I am a human being, something you forgot throughout this entire dinner. Emma stood. Mother, please, let's depart. I regarded her. Not yet, sweetheart. I'm not finished yet. I regarded Patricia one final time. You proposed to assist me with $800 monthly. Permit me to make you a counter-proposal. I will provide you $1 million immediately if you can demonstrate to me that you ever treated someone kindly who didn't possess wealth. Patricia opened her mouth, closed it, and said nothing. Precisely, I responded. You cannot, because to you individuals are exclusively valued by what they possess in the bank, and that is the distinction between you and me. I constructed wealth. You simply expend it. I earned respect. You purchase it. I possess dignity. You possess bank accounts. I retrieved my old cloth bag. I extracted a black platinum card. I placed it on the table before Patricia. This is my corporate card. Unlimited authorization. Compensate for the entire dinner with a generous gratuity. Consider it a gift from a broke and unsophisticated mother. Patricia regarded the card as if it were a venomous serpent, black, lustrous, with my name engraved in silver letters. Margaret Thompson, Senior Consultant. Her hand trembled slightly when she retrieved it. She rotated it, observed it, then regarded me. Her eyes no longer held that superior gleam. Now there was something different, something I never thought I'd witness in her: fear. I don't require your wealth, she stated, her voice broken. I know, I responded, but I didn't require your pity either. And yet, you offered it to me throughout the entire dinner, so accept it as a gesture of courtesy or proper manners, something you clearly didn't learn despite all your travels through Europe. Gregory gently struck the table. Sufficient. This is beyond control. You are disrespecting us. Respect? I repeated. How intriguing that you employ that term now. Where was your respect when your wife inquired if my income was adequate to survive? Where was it when she suggested I was a burden to my daughter? Where was it when she proposed to purchase me off so I vanish? Gregory clenched his jaw. Patricia simply wanted to assist. Patricia wanted to control. I corrected her. She wanted to ensure that the impoverished mother wouldn't ruin her son's perfect image. She wanted to eliminate the weak connection in the chain. The problem is, she selected the incorrect connection. I regarded Daniel. His head was lowered, his hands in his lap, trembling. "Daniel," I stated softly. He glanced upward. Tears were streaming down his face. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry. I didn't understand that my parents—" "Don't finish that statement," I interrupted him, "because you did understand. Perhaps you didn't understand about my wealth, but you understood how your parents are. You understand how they treat individuals they consider inferior, and you accomplished nothing to prevent them." Daniel sobbed. "I wanted to speak, but they are my parents." "I know," I responded, "and Emma is my daughter, and yet I permitted her to make her own choices. I permitted her to select her existence, her fiancé, her path, because that is how you cherish, with liberty, not with control, not with wealth, not with manipulation." Emma approached me. "Mother, forgive me. Please, forgive me for never inquiring, for assuming, for believing you were—" Her voice fractured. I embraced her. "You don't have to apologize, sweetheart. I accomplished what I accomplished for a reason. I desired you to be independent, to value the correct things, not to depend on me financially, to construct your own existence. But you made me sense like I had to protect you," Emma stated, "that I had to concern myself about you, that you were fragile." "I know," I responded, "and it wasn't incorrect that you believed that, because that's how you learn to care, to concern yourself about others, to be empathetic. Those are lessons wealth cannot purchase." Emma embraced me tightly. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Patricia was still standing, rigid, observing the scene with a combination of confusion and contained fury. "This doesn't alter anything," she finally stated. "You deceived. You manipulated us. You came here with hidden intentions. You acted in bad faith." "That's accurate." I nodded. "I performed. I pretended to be something I'm not. Precisely what you accomplished daily." "What is that supposed to signify?" Gregory inquired. "It signifies that you conceal behind your wealth, behind your jewelry, behind your travels, behind everything you can purchase, but internally you are hollow. You don't possess deep conversations. You don't possess genuine interests. You possess nothing to offer beyond a bank account." Patricia released a dry, bitter laugh. "Coming from someone who deceived all evening, that's hypocrisy." "Perhaps," I responded, "but my deception exposed the truth, your truth, and now you cannot conceal. Now you understand that I witnessed you, that I experienced every comment, that I stored every insult disguised as guidance, and that I will never forget it." The server timidly approached. "Excuse me, would you desire anything else?" Gregory shook his head abruptly. "Simply the bill." The server nodded and disappeared. Patricia settled back down, defeated. Her posture was no longer elegant. It was the posture of someone who had just lost something significant. And it wasn't wealth. It was power. "Margaret," she stated in a softer, less aggressive voice, "I don't desire this to ruin the relationship between our families. Emma and Daniel cherish each other. They have a life together. We cannot permit this—" I interrupted her. "Permit this what?" "Permit this to ruin your plans. Permit this to expose what you genuinely think. It's too late for that, Patricia. The damage is accomplished." "But we can repair it," she insisted. "We can start over." "No," I cut her off firmly. "We cannot, because now I understand who you are, and you understand who I am, and that truth cannot be erased with hollow apologies or manufactured smiles. You treated me like refuse, and you accomplished it with pleasure because you believed you could." Gregory cleared his throat. "You are the one who came here deceiving. You provoked this situation." "You're correct," I nodded. "I provoked this because I required knowing. I required confirming what I already suspected, that you are not good individuals, that your wealth doesn't make you superior, that you are precisely the variety of individuals who despise others for not possessing the same things." Patricia wiped away a tear. "We are not bad individuals. Perhaps not, I responded, but you are definitely not good, and there is a tremendous distinction between those two things. The server returned with the bill and left it in the center of the table. No one touched it. Patricia regarded my black card still in her hands, then regarded me. I'm not going to utilize your card, she stated. We will compensate our own bill as we consistently do. Perfect, I responded. Then preserve that card as a souvenir, as a reminder that not everything is as it appears, that the woman you scorned all evening possesses more than you will ever possess. And I'm not simply discussing wealth. Patricia placed the card down on the table. I don't desire it. I don't desire your moral lecture either. I pushed it back toward her. Preserve it anyway, because something informs me you'll require it. Someday you'll encounter someone like me, someone who pretends to be less than they are, and you'll make the same mistake again, because individuals like you never learn. Gregory retrieved his wallet, extracted several credit cards, all golden, all lustrous. He selected one and placed it on the bill. The server took it and left. No one spoke during those waiting minutes. The silence was thick, uncomfortable and heavy. Daniel cried quietly. Emma held my hand. Patricia stared at the wall. Gregory checked his phone to avoid eye contact. The server returned. Sir, your card was declined. Gregory glanced upward abruptly. How was it declined? The server repeated. Declined. Do you possess another form of payment? Gregory turned crimson. That's impossible. That card has an extremely elevated authorization. It must be a system error. The server shrugged. I can attempt again if you wish. Gregory handed him another card. The server left. Patricia nervously regarded her husband. What occurred? I don't know, Gregory responded, irritated. It must be a bank error. Perhaps they froze the account for security. It occurs occasionally when you travel. I nodded with feigned understanding. Naturally, those things occur. How inconvenient. The server returned again. I apologize, sir. This one was also declined. Gregory stood. This is absurd. I'm contacting the bank immediately. He stormed out of the restaurant. Patricia remained seated, ashamed, humiliated. This has never occurred to us, she murmured. Never. What terrible timing, I commented without emotion. Emma regarded the bill. Mother, No, I interrupted her. You are not compensating for anything. I retrieved my wallet, a simple, weathered leather wallet. I extracted another card. This one was not black. It was transparent, made of heavy metal, a card that less than 0.5% of individuals in the world possess. I placed it on the table before Patricia. She regarded it, her eyes enlarged. She recognized what it was. That's an invitation card. That's correct, I responded. Exclusive invitation, minimum annual expenditure requirement of $200,000, $7,500 annual fee simply for possessing it, and benefits you can never fathom. Patricia stated nothing. The server took the card carefully, as if it were something sacred. He returned in less than 90 seconds. Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Everything is settled. Would you desire the receipt? It's not necessary, I responded. The server nodded and left. Patricia continued regarding the space where the card had been. I stood, took my old wallet, my cloth bag, and regarded Patricia one final time. The dinner was exquisite. Thank you for the recommendation of the establishment, and thank you for revealing to me precisely who you are. You preserved me substantial time, substantial energy, and many future disappointments. Patricia finally glanced upward. Her eyes were crimson, not from crying, but from contained fury. This doesn't conclude here, she stated, her voice trembling. You can't simply humiliate us and depart as if nothing occurred. Daniel is our son. Emma is our future daughter-in-law. We will still be family. You will have to witness us. You're correct. I smiled. I will have to witness you at birthdays, holidays, and family gatherings. But now, I will witness you differently. I will no longer wonder what you think of me. I already understand, and you will understand that I understand, and you will exist with that. Every time you witness me, every time you pretend to be kind, you will remember this evening. Gregory returned to the table. His phone was in his hand. His face was pale. There's a problem with the accounts, he stated. A temporary block for security? It will be resolved tomorrow. He regarded the table. Did they compensate already? Yes, Patricia responded without regarding him. She compensated. Gregory regarded me. His pride was shattered. Thank you, he murmured. It was barely audible. You're welcome, I responded. That's what family is for, correct? To assist each other, especially when someone requires a modest stipend, say $800, or in this case, $750, which is what this dinner cost. Gregory closed his eyes. Patricia clenched her fists in her lap. Emma approached. Mother, let's depart, please. It's sufficient. I regarded her. You're correct. It is sufficient. I turned to Daniel. He was still crying quietly. Daniel, I stated softly. He lifted his head. You are not to blame for how your parents are. No one selects their family, but you do select how you act, how you treat others, how you will raise your own children someday. Daniel nodded through his tears. I'm sorry, he whispered again. Don't apologize again, I informed him. Simply learn. Learn that wealth does not define individuals, that humility is not weakness, that respecting others costs nothing, and that if you ever have children, teach them to perceive the heart of individuals, not their bank account. Daniel sobbed harder. Emma embraced him. Patricia looked elsewhere. Gregory checked his phone again, avoiding all eye contact. I headed for the exit. I took several steps, then stopped and turned around one final time. Ah, Patricia, one more thing. She regarded me. Do you remember when you stated you master 3 languages? Patricia frowned. What does that have to do with anything? Simply curious, I responded. In which of those 3 languages did you learn to be kind? Because clearly it wasn't in any of them. Patricia opened her mouth, but no words emerged. Precisely, I stated. You can speak 50 different languages and still not communicate anything worth listening to. I departed the restaurant. Emma walked beside me. The fresh night air struck my face. I breathed deeply. I experienced as if an enormous weight had been lifted off me. Not a physical weight, but an emotional one. The weight of pretending, of tolerating, of keeping silent. Emma took my arm. Mother, are you all right? Perfectly fine, I responded, superior than ever. And you, Emma? Emma exhaled. I don't know. I'm processing everything. I can't believe you never informed me about your career, about your wealth, about everything you accomplished. I stopped and regarded her in the eyes. Does it trouble you? She quickly shook her head. No, naturally not. I'm proud. Incredibly proud. But I also feel foolish, blind. You are not foolish, I informed her. You simply witnessed what I desired you to witness, and I accomplished it intentionally because I required you to mature without depending on me, without sensing you possessed an economic safety net waiting for you. I required you to fight, to labor, to value everything you accomplished on your own. Emma nodded. I comprehend, but now I also comprehend why you never complained, why you never requested assistance, why you always appeared so calm, because you required nothing. I smiled. I required many things, sweetheart. Simply none of them could be purchased with wealth. I required to witness you mature, witness you become a good woman, witness you make the correct decisions. And I achieved that, even becoming engaged to Daniel. She inquired in a weak voice. Even becoming engaged to Daniel, I responded. He is not his parents. He can learn. He can transform, but that depends on him and on you, on how you construct your relationship, on what values you select to follow. Emma remained silent, processing, thinking. A rideshare stopped before us. I had requested a vehicle as we left. I opened the door. Emma stopped me. Mother, may I inquire something? Naturally. Why did you accomplish it? Why did you come pretending to be impoverished? Why didn't you simply inform them the truth from the beginning? I closed the vehicle door. I turned to her. Because I required knowing, sweetheart. I required confirming if my suspicions were correct, if Daniel's family was genuinely as I imagined, and unfortunately, I was correct. Emma lowered her gaze. I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize for them, I informed her. But you do have to decide what kind of wife you want to be, what kind of mother you want to be someday. What do you signify? She inquired. I signify that you have just witnessed two remarkably different ways of handling wealth and power, your future in-law's way and mine. They utilize it to control, to humiliate, to sense superior. I utilize it to possess liberty, to assist without displaying, to exist peacefully. You decide which path to follow. Emma gradually nodded. I comprehend. I opened the vehicle door again and entered. I lowered the window. Emma approached. Mother, one final question. Inform me. Are you ever going to forgive Patricia and Gregory? I thought about it for a moment. Forgiving doesn't signify forgetting, I responded, nor does it signify permitting it to occur again. I might forgive them someday when I witness a genuine transformation, when they initiate perceiving individuals as individuals, not as numbers. But until then, I will simply be polite, distant, and extremely cautious. And me? Emma inquired. Do you forgive me for not inquiring, for assuming, for permitting this dinner to occur? I regarded her tenderly. Sweetheart, there is nothing to forgive. You accomplished what you believed was correct. You desired your family to meet. That is beautiful. What occurred afterward was not your fault. It was theirs, and slightly mine too, because I decided to play their game. Emma smiled weakly. You won. I won. I nodded, but I don't sense victorious. I sense tired and melancholy because I confirmed something I didn't desire to confirm. That some individuals will never transform, that some families are broken even if they possess wealth, that there are voids no bank account can fill. The driver cleared his throat. Ma'am, should we proceed? Yes, I responded. Grant me one moment. I regarded Emma one final time. Proceed to Daniel, converse with him, listen to him, support him, but also be honest. Inform him how you experienced tonight. Inform him what you anticipate from his family and from him. Because if you don't establish boundaries now, this will occur again and again. I will, Emma promised. I love you, Mother. And I signify it more now than ever, because now I understand who you genuinely are, and you are incredible. I smiled. I love you too, sweetheart. I consistently have. I consistently will, no matter how much wealth I possess or don't possess, because affection has no price, and that is a lesson Patricia and Gregory will never learn. Emma stepped away from the vehicle. I signaled to the driver. May we proceed? The vehicle started. I regarded out the window. I witnessed Emma walking back toward the restaurant. Her shoulders slumped, thoughtful. She was probably returning to find Daniel, to confront his parents, to have difficult conversations. And I felt proud, because that signified she was maturing, she was learning, she was selecting to be superior than the example she had just witnessed. The vehicle accelerated through the city's illuminated streets. I closed my eyes and thought about everything that had occurred, every word, every glance, every moment of tension. And I wondered if I had accomplished the correct thing, if I had been too severe, too cruel, too vengeful. But then I remembered every disguised insult, every patronizing comment, every glance of contempt, and I understood that no, I hadn't been excessively anything. I had simply been honest. Finally, the vehicle was crossing the empty streets of the night. The lights of the buildings flashed rapidly past the window. I opened my old cloth bag and retrieved my phone. A simple phone, nothing ostentatious, nothing attention-capturing. I possessed 2 unread messages. One from my colleague inquiring about a Monday conference, another from a partner congratulating me on a finalized contract, and one from an unknown number. I opened the unknown message. It was from Daniel. Mrs. Thompson, please forgive me. I didn't understand my parents would be like that. I am ashamed. I require speaking with you, please. I regarded the message for an extended time. I thought about responding. Then I decided not to. Not yet. He still required time. I required it too. Words rushed from guilt rarely signify anything genuine. Genuine transformations require time, reflection, and consistent action. I placed the phone aside. The driver regarded me through the rearview mirror. "Excuse me for inquiring, ma'am. Is everything all right?" I glanced upward at him. "Yes, everything is fine. Why?" "Well, you entered remarkably quietly, and normally the individuals who emerge from that restaurant are content, discussing how exquisite the dinner was. You emerged as if you had been in combat." I smiled slightly. "Something like that. Was it that obvious?" He shrugged. "I've been operating a rideshare for 18 years. I've witnessed it all. Intoxicated individuals, individuals fighting, couples separating, families arguing. And you possess that expression of someone who just stated something they'd been preserving inside for decades." "You're perceptive," I informed him. "It's my occupation," he responded. "Plus, it assists passing the time. Do you desire to discuss it?" "You don't have to, but occasionally it assists to inform things to a stranger, someone who isn't going to evaluate you, someone who doesn't understand you." I thought about his proposal. It was tempting, but I shook my head. "Thank you, but I believe I've discussed sufficient for today." He nodded. "I comprehend, but permit me to inform you something. Whatever occurred in there, you accomplished the correct thing. I understand because you are calm. You are not crying. You are not screaming. You are processing. And that signifies you spoke your truth. And the truth consistently brings peace, even if it hurts." His words surprised me. He was an older man, perhaps 55 years old, with graying hair and working hands, a simple man like the one I pretended to be. "Do you believe in the truth?" I inquired him. "I believe in honesty," he responded. "Not consistently the absolute truth, because the truth transforms depending on who informs it, but honesty doesn't. Honesty is stating things the way you sense them, without masks, without deceptions, even if it hurts, even if it makes things awkward, even if it costs you something." I nodded. "You're correct. My wife consistently informed me I was too direct," he proceeded, "that I stated things without a filter, that I hurt individuals without intending to. And perhaps she was correct, but she also informed me that she never questioned me because she understood that what emerged from my mouth was genuine, not calculated, not manipulated, simply genuine." I smiled. "She sounds like a good woman." "She was," he responded. "She passed 3 years ago." "I'm sorry," I stated sincerely. He shook his head. "Don't be sorry. We possessed 35 years together. 35 years of honesty, of fights, of reconciliations, of laughs, of tears. And not once did I proceed to sleep wondering what she genuinely thought, because she consistently stated it, and so did I. That is a gift." "You're correct," I murmured. "It's a gift?" The vehicle stopped at a crimson light. "May I inquire you something personal?" the driver inquired. "Proceed." "Are you wealthy?" The question surprised me, not because of the question itself, but because of the direct way he inquired it. "Why do you inquire that?" Because I retrieved you from a $900 per person restaurant, but you dress like someone who shops at budget stores. You possess an old bag, worn shoes, but you converse like an executive. You move like someone with power, and you compensated for my ride share with crisp new bills that you extracted from a wallet that appears 15 years old. Observant, I commented. Part of the occupation, he repeated. Then am I? It depends on how you define wealthy, I responded. If you are discussing wealth, yes, I possess sufficient, more than sufficient. If you are discussing happiness, I also possess peace, health, a daughter I cherish, work I am passionate about. That makes me wealthy in many ways. He nodded, satisfied. I understood there was something. Genuinely wealthy individuals don't require proving it. The light transformed to green. The vehicle moved forward. And what occurred in that restaurant? He inquired. If it's not too indiscreet. I pretended to be impoverished, I responded, to witness how they would treat me. He released a loud laugh. Seriously, that is brilliant. And how did they treat you? Like refuse, I stated without emotion. They humiliated me. They offered me charity. They treated me as if I were invisible, less than human. He stopped laughing. I'm sorry. That must have hurt. A little, I admitted, but it also confirmed something for me. That I was correct about those individuals, that they weren't valued my time, that they didn't deserve my respect, and now they understand it. Now they understand who I am, and they will have to exist with that shame. The driver whistled softly. That must have been epic. It was. I smiled. It definitely was. We arrived at my building, an older, working-class building. Nothing luxurious, nothing impressive, but comfortable, secure, home. The driver parked and regarded the building. You reside here? I reside here, I confirmed. He shook his head, astonished. You genuinely are special. Most individuals with wealth move to expensive districts, to buildings with doormen, private security, fitness centers, and pools. You reside like a normal person. I am a normal person, I responded. I simply possess more wealth than most. But now that doesn't make me different. It doesn't make me superior. Wealth is simply a tool, not an identity. He smiled. I wish more individuals thought that way. The world would be superior. I retrieved my wallet. How much is it? $28, he responded. I provided him a $100 bill. Preserve the change? Ma'am, this is too much. It's not. I stated. You listened to me. You provided me perspective. You reminded me that there are still good individuals. That is valued more than $72. He took the bill carefully. Thank you. Genuinely, thank you. Thank you, I responded. And preserve that honesty. It's rare. It's valuable. Don't lose it. I won't, he promised. I exited the vehicle, closed the door. He lowered the window. Ma'am, one final thing. Inform me. Whatever occurred tonight, don't regret it. Don't feel sorry because individuals like you, the individuals who speak the truth, even if it hurts, are the ones who transform the world. Little by little, one conversation at a time. I smiled. Thank you. I will remember that. The vehicle departed. I stood before my building, regarding upward at my third-floor window. The light was off. Dark. Silent. Waiting for me. I entered the building and walked up the stairs. I never utilized the elevator. I preferred to walk to remain active. I reached my door. I retrieved my keys, the same keys I had possessed for 12 years. I opened the door. The apartment was cold, empty. I turned on the light. Everything was in its place. The simple living room, the modest kitchen, the dining area with mismatched chairs, the walls without expensive artwork. And I felt at peace because this place was mine, genuinely mine. Not purchased to impress, not decorated to display, simply a space where I could be myself without masks, without pretensions. I removed my old shoes, removed the creased beige dress, and placed on comfortable clothing, old, soft, familiar pajamas. I prepared myself some tea, settled on the sofa, and turned on the television. News. Nothing interesting. I turned it off. I settled in silence, thinking, processing, sensing. And for the first time in many years, I felt completely liberated. Liberated from pretending. Liberated from being silent. Liberated from tolerating. Liberated from being less than I was. Because that evening, I didn't simply expose Patricia and Gregory. I also liberated myself from expectations, from judgment, from the requirement to conceal who I was. And that was invaluable, more than any amount in my bank account. My phone vibrated. Another message, this time from Emma. "Mother, did you arrive home safely?" I smiled. I quickly responded, "Yes, sweetheart. I arrived perfectly fine. I'm home resting." Her response was immediate. "I love you. Thank you for everything, for being who you are, for teaching me, for never surrendering." I closed my eyes. I felt a tear roll down my cheek, not from sadness, from relief, from affection, from gratitude. I responded, "I love you too, consistently." I placed the phone aside. I consumed my tea. I regarded around my simple apartment, my sanctuary, my truth, and I smiled, because at the conclusion of the day, it didn't matter how much wealth I possessed. It didn't matter how elevated I had ascended in my career. The exclusive thing that mattered was this moment, this peace, this honesty with myself. I awakened early on Sunday, as consistently 38 years of working had trained me to rise with the sun. Even though it was my day off, my body no longer understood how to sleep late. I prepared strong coffee, black. I settled by the window with a hot mug in my hands. I observed the city awaken, the vendors opening their stalls, individuals walking somewhere. Existence continued as consistently, indifferent to personal dramas. My phone initiated ringing. It was a familiar number. "Emma," I answered. "Good morning, sweetheart." Her voice sounded tired. "Mother, I require conversing with you." "Did something occur?" "Substantial," she responded. "Last evening, Daniel and I conversed for hours. His parents were there too. It was intense." I consumed a portion of coffee. "Inform me." Emma exhaled deeply. "After you departed, I returned to the restaurant. Patricia and Gregory were still there, waiting for their cards to function. It was humiliating for them. Daniel was devastated, crying, and I was furious, more furious than I have been in years." I waited in silence. She proceeded. "I informed them everything I experienced during that dinner. I informed them I was ashamed of them, that they treated my mother like refuse, that their behavior was unacceptable, that I wouldn't tolerate it ever again." "And what did they state?" I inquired. At first, Patricia attempted to defend herself. She stated they simply wanted to protect Daniel, that they wanted to ensure he possessed a stable family, that they didn't possess bad intentions. Gregory stated I was exaggerating, that it had been a normal dinner, that your reaction was disproportionate. I squeezed the mug in my hands. Typical. "But then Daniel spoke," Emma proceeded. "He informed his parents that they were incorrect, that they had been cruel, that he had witnessed every comment, every glance, every disguised insult, and that he was ashamed to be their son at that moment." His voice fractured. "Mother, I had never witnessed Daniel confront his parents like that." I smiled slightly. "That's good. It signifies he's awakening." Patricia became hysterical, Emma stated. She initiated, yelling that Daniel was ungrateful, that they had sacrificed everything for him, that they had provided him the best existence, that he possessed no authority to evaluate them. Gregory supported her. "He stated we were being manipulated by you, that you had planned everything to make them appear bad." I released a dry laugh. "Naturally, it's my fault." "That's what made them angriest," Emma stated. "I informed them they were correct, that you did plan everything, but that they fell into the trap, because that's genuinely how they are. because they genuinely treat individuals they consider inferior badly, that you simply provided them the opportunity to reveal themselves, and they accomplished it perfectly." "Well stated," I murmured. "Thanks. I learned it from you." There was a silence. Then Emma proceeded. "Mother, I require you to understand something. Last evening I made a decision. Daniel and I are going to establish boundaries with his parents. We are not going to sever the relationship, but we are going to establish clear rules. No comments about wealth, no comparisons, no attempts to control our existences. And if they cannot honor that, then they will have to accept the consequences." "And did they accept?" I inquired. "No," she responded. "They departed furious. They stated we were ungrateful, that we would regret it someday, that when we required assistance, they wouldn't be there. Gregory stated he was going to reconsider his will. Patricia stated Daniel had selected the incorrect family." I shook my head. "Emotional blackmail, the final resort of individuals without arguments." "Precisely," Emma stated, "but it didn't function. Daniel remained firm. I did too. They departed the restaurant without saying farewell, without looking back. And honestly, Mother, I experienced relief, as if an enormous weight had been lifted off me." "That's because it was," I informed her. "You lifted the weight of existing under their expectations, under their control. Now you can construct your existence however you desire, not as they dictate." "Thank you, Mother," Emma stated, her voice emotional. "Thank you for accomplishing what you accomplished last evening. I understand it was difficult. I understand it was awkward, but we required witnessing it. I required witnessing who they genuinely were. And Daniel required witnessing that there was another way to exist, a more honest, more authentic way. You are welcome, sweetheart. I simply accomplished what I believed was correct." "There is something else," Emma stated. "Daniel wants to come witness you. He wants to apologize in person. He wants to converse with you, not as a future son-in-law attempting to appear good, but as a man attempting to learn. What do you think?" I thought for a moment. "Inform him he can come, but not today. Grant him several days to process, to think carefully about what he wants to state. Rushed apologies are hollow. The ones that require time are genuine." "I'll inform him," Emma promised. "Mother, one more question. How are you doing after all of this? How do you sense?" I regarded out the window. The sun was fully elevated now. The day had officially begun. "I'm well," I responded. "Superior than well. I'm at peace because I finally stated everything I required to state, and I don't regret anything." "I'm pleased to hear that," Emma stated. "I love you." "I love you too. Rest. I'll witness you soon." I disconnected the phone, finished my coffee, and stood. I decided to accomplish something I hadn't accomplished in an extended time. Proceed for a stroll aimlessly, without rushing, simply walking and thinking. I dressed in comfortable clothing, old jeans, a simple top, worn sneakers. I grabbed my keys and departed. The streets were full of existence, families strolling, children running, couples holding hands, vendors offering food. The smell of fresh bread filled the atmosphere. I walked through the nearby park and settled on a bench, observing individuals pass by, and I realized something. Most of these individuals probably didn't possess much wealth. They existed with simply sufficient, labored intensely, and struggled daily. But they smiled, embraced each other, and appreciated the moment. And then I thought about Patricia and Gregory, with all their wealth, their properties, their travels, their jewelry. Were they genuinely content? Or were they simply occupied attempting to prove something, attempting to fill a void with material things, attempting to purchase value, respect, and affection, things that could never be purchased? An older woman settled beside me. "Good morning," she stated with a smile. "Good morning," I responded. "Beautiful day, correct?" she commented. "Remarkably beautiful," I nodded. She retrieved bread from her bag and initiated feeding the pigeons. I come here every Sunday, she stated. It's my moment of peace before the week becomes chaotic again. I comprehend that, I stated. I required a moment of peace, too. Difficult week? She inquired. Something like that, I responded. More like a difficult evening. She nodded wisely. Occasionally, a single evening can transform everything. You're correct, I murmured. May I provide you some unsolicited guidance? Proceed, I smiled. She indicated to the pigeons. Regard those birds. Some are substantial, some are modest, some possess pretty feathers, others possess scruffy feathers, but they all consume from the same bread. They all share the same space. None of them thinks they are superior than the others. That's a nice metaphor, I stated. It's not a metaphor, she responded. It's the truth. Humans are the exclusive animals that invent false hierarchies, that measure value with external things. Pigeons don't accomplish that. They simply exist. They simply are. We should learn from them. I smiled broadly. You are completely correct. I should provide classes to some individuals I understand. She laughed. Oh, child, at my stage I don't provide classes. I simply observe and share what I witness. But most individuals don't listen. They are too occupied running, purchasing, competing, forgetting that in the conclusion, we all conclude in the same place. With or without wealth, with or without jewelry, with or without properties, we all conclude turning into dust. How philosophical, I commented. How realistic, she corrected. I have existed 79 years. I have witnessed it all, and I can inform you something. The most miserable individuals I encountered were the ones who possessed the most because it was never sufficient. They consistently wanted more. They consistently competed. They consistently compared. And they passed without having genuinely existed, without having genuinely cherished, without having genuinely been. Her words resonated deep within me, as if she had touched upon something I already understood, but hadn't articulated. Thank you, I informed her, for sharing that. She patted my hand. You're welcome, child. And remember, it doesn't matter how much you possess or don't possess. What matters is how you treat others, because that is what remains. That is what transcends. That is the exclusive inheritance valued possessing. She gradually stood, placed her empty bag away, and waved farewell. Have a beautiful Sunday. You, too, I responded. I observed her depart. A modest woman, hunched with stage, wearing old clothing and worn shoes, but with more wisdom than all the Patricias and Gregorys in the world combined. And I felt grateful for that encounter, for that reminder, for that truth so simple and powerful. I remained on the bench for a while longer, thinking, sensing, processing everything that had occurred, and I reached a conclusion. I didn't regret anything. No word, no action, because everything I accomplished last evening was necessary. It was liberating. It was honest, and honesty, even when it hurts, is consistently the correct path. 3 days passed before Daniel knocked on my door. 3 days of silence, processing, and reflection. When I heard the bell ring that Tuesday afternoon, I understood who it was. I opened the door. There he was, without his typical formal attire, his hair pulled back in a simple style, dressed in jeans and a plain shirt, no watch, no formal shoes. He appeared vulnerable, genuine, different from the man I had witnessed in the restaurant. Mrs. Thompson, he stated in a low voice, may I enter? I stepped aside. Proceed ahead. He entered gradually, regarding around, observing my apartment with new eyes, the simple living room, the old furniture, the walls without expensive decor. He settled on the sofa when I indicated to it. I settled across from him, waiting without pressuring, permitting him to find his words. I don't understand where to initiate. he finally stated. Initiate where you sense ready, I responded. He consumed a deep breath. I came to apologize, but not simply with words. I came to clarify why my parents are the way they are and why I remained silent for so extended. I listened in silence. Daniel proceeded, his voice trembling. My parents grew impoverished in a modest town overseas, without electricity, without running water, laboring in factories since they were adolescents. They witnessed their own parents pass young due to lack of medicine, lack of wealth. They experienced hunger. They suffered, and they promised themselves they would never be impoverished again. They would accomplish whatever it required to escape from there. I nodded. I comprehend. That clarifies substantial. They labored like animals, Daniel proceeded. They preserved every penny. They immigrated seeking opportunities. Gregory constructed his enterprise from nothing, literally from nothing, and when they initiated earning wealth, they never forgot what it was like not to possess it. That's why they discuss it so frequently. That's why they measure everything by that standard. Because to them, wealth signifies survival. It signifies security. It signifies never returning to that dark place. It's comprehensible, I stated. Trauma accomplishes strange things to individuals. Daniel nodded, but that doesn't excuse how they treated you. I understand. And I desire you to understand that I witnessed everything, every comment, every glance, every insult. And I remained silent because I've been accomplishing that my whole existence. Remaining silent, accepting, permitting them to control everything because they taught me that contradicting them was a betrayal, was ungrateful. And now, I inquired, now I comprehend I was incorrect, he responded. That affection is not control, that family is not blind obedience, that I can cherish them and still not agree with them. Emma assisted me witness it. You assisted me witness it. That evening at the restaurant, when you revealed yourself, when you informed them everything, it was as if a blindfold had been removed from my eyes. Daniel wiped his tears. I consistently understood something was incorrect. I consistently sensed that the way they measured individuals was incorrect. But I convinced myself that it was me, that I was too sensitive, that I didn't comprehend the world. But you revealed to me that no, there is another way to exist. A way where wealth does not define your value, where humility is strength, where authenticity is wealth. I consumed a portion of water. Daniel, I didn't come that evening to transform you. I came to protect myself, to understand who I was dealing with. I understand, he responded, and I thank you for that, because your brutal honesty preserved me. It preserved me from becoming my father, from perpetuating that cycle, from teaching my future children that individuals are valued by what they possess. I don't desire that. I don't desire to be that. And your parents? I inquired. How are they after all this? Daniel exhaled. Furious, hurt, humiliated. Patricia hasn't spoken to me in 3 days. Gregory sent me a message stating I had disappointed him, that I had selected strangers over my own blood, that I would regret it someday. He paused. And do you understand what's strange? I don't sense bad. I sense liberated. That's good, I stated. It signifies you made the correct decision. Daniel nodded. Emma and I established boundaries. We informed them they can be a fraction of our existences, but exclusively if they respect us, if they respect our decisions, if they cease attempting to control us with wealth or emotional blackmail, and if they cannot accomplish that, then they will have to accept a distant relationship. How did they accept that? I inquired. Badly, Daniel responded. Patricia stated, we were ungrateful that they had sacrificed everything for me. Gregory threatened to disinherit me, to sever all financial assistance, as if that were the exclusive thing we cared about, as if our affection for them depended on their wealth. And that's when I realized they genuinely believe that. They genuinely think their value is in their wallet. It's melancholy, I commented. Remarkably melancholy. Daniel agreed. because they possess so much and appreciate nothing. They simply accumulate, compete, display, but they never stop to inquire themselves if they are content, if they possess peace, if they possess genuine connections with individuals. They simply count their properties and sense victorious, while internally they are hollow. He was silent for a moment. Then he regarded me directly. Mrs. Thompson, I desire to request something of you. Inform me. I desire to learn from you. I desire you to teach me how to exist with dignity, how to be wealthy without requiring proving it, how to possess peace in the midst of chaos, how to be strong without being cruel. Because that evening, I witnessed something in you that I never witnessed in my parents. I witnessed class. I witnessed genuine power. I witnessed a woman who didn't require shouting to be heard. I smiled tenderly. Daniel, I cannot teach you that. That is learned by existing, by making mistakes, by falling, by rising. The exclusive thing I can accomplish is share my experience and inform you that the path is not simple. You will confront criticism, judgment, individuals who won't comprehend why you exist differently. But if you remain genuine to yourself, if you exist according to your values, you will find peace. And that peace is value more than any amount of wealth. I desire to attempt, Daniel stated. I desire to be superior, not simply for Emma, but for me, because I deserve to exist without that constant pressure, without that requirement to impress, without that fear of not being sufficient. Then accomplish it, I informed him. But don't accomplish it all at once. Accomplish it little by little. Initiate by questioning your habits, your purchases, and your motivations. Inquire yourself before every decision. Is this for me or for others? Does this bring me peace or simply appearance? Daniel nodded, taking mental notes. And my parents, do you think they will ever transform? I regarded him with honesty. I don't understand. Transformation requires you to recognize a problem, and they don't believe they possess one. They believe the world is incorrect, that individuals are ungrateful, that they are victims. Until they witness that, transformation is not possible. But you can transform. You can break the cycle. I will, he promised, with Emma's assistance. And I wish with your guidance too. You don't require my guidance, I responded. You simply require your internal compass, that voice that informs you what is correct and what is incorrect. That voice you silenced for years to please your parents. Listen to it, osa, trust it, follow it. Daniel wiped away the final tears. Thank you, Mrs. Thompson, for everything. For your patience, for your honesty, for not surrendering on us. There is nothing to thank me for, I stated. Simply promise me one thing. When you possess children, teach them the value of individuals, not the price. Teach them empathy, humility, and kindness, things that don't cost wealth but are valued everything. I promise, Daniel stated firmly. I promise with all my heart. We embraced, a genuine, warm, honest embrace. No acting, no masks, simply two individuals connecting as human beings. Daniel departed an hour later, lighter, freer, with hope in his eyes. I closed the door behind him. I settled back on my sofa, regarded around my simple apartment, and smiled because this was sufficient. This was everything, an honest space, an authentic existence, genuine relationships. I didn't require more. I never required more. My phone rang. It was a message from Emma. Mother, Daniel informed me about his visit. Thank you for welcoming him, for listening to him, for granting him a chance. I cherish you more than words can express. I responded simply, I cherish you too, sweetheart, consistently. I placed the phone aside. I settled by the window. I observed the sunset paint the sky orange and rose. And in that moment, I comprehended something fundamental. Genuine wealth is not about how much you possess. It's about how much you appreciate what you possess, how much peace you sense, how many genuine individuals surround you, how many times you can regard in the mirror and be proud of who you are. Patricia and Gregory possessed millions, but I possessed this tranquility, this authenticity, this pure affection for my daughter. And that made me infinitely wealthier than them. I never pretended to be impoverished again. I didn't require to. I had learned what I required to learn. I had witnessed what I required to witness, and I had liberated what I required to liberate. Patricia and Gregory continued to be who they were, wealthy in wealth, impoverished in spirit. But that was no longer my problem. I had spoken my truth. I had established my boundaries. I had protected my peace. And for the first time in an extended time, I didn't have to pretend who I was. I was simply Margaret, mother, consultant, woman, survivor, fighter, wealthy in every sense that genuinely mattered. And that was more than sufficient. It was everything.